Kuranda Riverboat and the beautiful and ever-changing Barron River here. Where we are at the moment is about 330 metres elevation above the ocean, which means we fall into a category here as a tropical highland rainforest, and it also means that the water we're on today is all fresh water, no salt this high up into the system. Now as we do come down river, off to our left on the fallen sticks and logs that are going to be down up here, keep your eyes out for our freshwater turtles. There are two varieties of the turtles living in the river system. There is a sawshell and a creft turtle, and the identifying features of this animal are their eyes and their shell. The eyes of the creft turtle will have some white or yellow eyeliner on, and the sawshell turtle gets its name because its shell is shaped and serrated like a saw blade. Their eyesight is terrible, their hearing is phenomenal, so we might just see some splashes coming off these logs, and that's the defensive mechanism that these turtles do have, as they like to dive into the water to get away from the sound of the boat, as they cannot see us and they perceive us as a threat. So I'm going to come and put the nose of the boat onto the riverbank here. Just take a seat and stay seated for me, just for your safety, as there sometimes can be a bit of a bump touching on down here. And then be mindful of your belongings: phones, wallets, cameras, keys, purses, sunnies on the top of your heads, children. Try not to let anything fall into the river today, folks. The only thing we will retrieve from the river that falls in will be the children. Everything else will stay in the river today. Now, because it is quite full, if you're on the right, stay to the right. If you're on the left, stay to the left. And I'll throw fish food out on both sides of the boat so you can all get a nice view of the beautiful animals that we have here. Alright, we're here. So you're welcome to stand up and move around the boat now. Let's get some fish food going and we'll wake everyone up. So you don't want to fall into the river here. These are giant piranhas. You can see just how hungry they are. No, I'm joking. We don't have piranhas here in Australia. These darker, larger black fish, they are the sooty grunter or the black rib. Quite nice to eat. This area here is a sanctuary, and no fishing is allowed to happen or occur, and that is why we have so many of them here. Now there is a smaller, bronze-coloured fish with a couple of black dots down their flank. This fish is the archerfish. The archerfish is actually one of Sir David Attenborough's favourite freshwater fish species, and they do get their name because of the ability they have. They take a mouthful of water, and they can accurately shoot the mouthful of water they do take out of their mouth and hit an animal up to 3 metres high into a tree branch, and that's how they get their name as the archerfish. Now I've got some bread here for all of you so you can feed these lovely animals. If there are 2 of you sitting in a row, I will hand 2 pieces of bread out to one person. That person can share or not. Not up to me, you guys can decide. And as I said, you are welcome to step out onto the front of the boat there now and to feed those fish and those turtles. You'll see. Their eyesight is terrible, as I said. So you watch. The fish now know. Pellets have stopped. Bread's going to the front. Now we have some freshwater eels in the river that can get up over 3 metres long, and there is the very ancient Australian lungfish that resides in the river here as well. Now that lungfish is a fish that hasn't yet evolved its ability of breathing underwater. So they do have to come up to the surface like the turtles are doing to take their lungfuls of oxygen if they wish to breathe and survive. Now in here, thankfully folks, we only have our freshwater crocodile. We do not have the salty. do not be fooled by the name of the animal. Saltwater crocodiles can be found in both salt and fresh water, and our freshwater crocodiles can be found in both fresh and salt water as well. So just because they are called what they are called doesn't mean that's where you'll find them. Now, as a local, I will tell you all right now, do not swim at the beaches here in Cairns. That's a surefire way of either getting bitten and killed by a croc or stung by a jellyfish. The only people you will see swimming are tourists. Now, the saltwater crocodile, they're plain old mean and nasty, and they're just going to kill you for the fun of it. Where freshwater crocodiles in the history of Australia and the world, they have never killed anyone. They do attack though. Now, thankfully, they only attack the stupid people. And the stupid people are the people that go out of their way and antagonise the animal. Now, if you go and stand on the animal or swim into it, you'll get bitten. And 2 people have done this in the past. One lady has gone and poked one in the eyeball. She got bitten. And another gentleman accidentally bombed over on top of one. He was bitten. You do understand that they are an apex predator and they will defend themselves if threatened. And the only way they can defend themselves is by biting. Go out of your way, they will bite you. Other than that, you are safe. Treat them with respect and they will leave you well enough alone. You look above you there and the life jackets, you'll see their nest. I'll tell you about them right now. Alright, we're all done with the bread there, folks. Right, one more bit to go. So these 2 beautiful little birds that are down on the back wire here, they are the welcome swallow. They are a generational bird that have been living on this boat for over 15 years now. They do have a nest in the life jackets there. They will fly to and fro, probably with a couple of feathers or sticks in their mouth because they're building that nest. Don't be afraid, they shouldn't hit you in the head, but once again, wild animals don't always do what they're meant to, and they very well might fly into your face, especially if you get scared and move into their flight path. Alrighty, let's go try and find you a crocodile. You'll see there is the white boat and the kayak by the riverbank. And then if you do direct your gaze up into the tree line of that forest, you will see a house. Now it's still, people are still living in that house today. It's not haunted or abandoned, though it does look like it is. But that house was first built in the late 1800s. It was built for a family called the Streets family. Now they never made ice creams, but what they did do was buy 80 acres of land up in the forest there. And then in that 80 acres of land, they cut down every single tree that was there. And then in their land that was cleared, they went and planted Australia's very first coffee plantation. Now what they did not realise, being the first people to grow coffee in Australia, it meant that no one actually drank it here. So they couldn't sell their coffee within Australia. They had to package it all up and via steamship transport and send this coffee across to Europe. And that's because the French and the Europeans especially loved their coffee, knew how good it was, and the coffee that the Streets family did grow was some of the most highly awarded and acclaimed in the late 1800s throughout Europe. Now they ended up selling their land and moving out of the forest in 1923, and the new owners that bought their land chopped down all the coffee and replaced it with all the pine trees, which you can still see up on our left-hand side here today. Now the pine is a more sustainable building material, and it also is a way that they are able to revegetate the forest and use that as the source of wood rather than clearing more of the big beautiful rainforest timbers that are here. Now in 1988, the entire left-hand side of this rainforest and river was listed under the UNESCO World Heritage Rainforest Act. Now that act basically means that how this forest all the way down river on our left looks today, that is how this forest is going to stay and remain forever. Human impact, deforestation, clearing and devastation is never allowed to occur in this forest again. So it's going to stay as a beautiful, pristine rainforest for all time. Now up here in front of us on our left, ladies and gentlemen, we have the next large, big, smooth green trunk tree coming over and overhanging the river. That tree itself is called the Kuranda tree. And as we get closer, in the bottommost branches of that tree, you'll see some little nests being built. These nests are being built by a migratory bird called the metallic starling. Now the metallic starling flies back to this same tree in September every year, builds its nests and has its young. And then come April next year, when all the young have learnt to fly, these birds will take back off into Papua New Guinea where they spend the winter. So it's pretty amazing. Now as we come along this riverbank here in February and March, there'll be 2 to 3 crocodiles sitting on that bank every day. These crocodiles are sitting and waiting for any unlucky birds that don't learn to fly on the first attempt. They fall into the water, but they're not given a second.
What was that sound?
Monkeys.
It's all mad.
Yeah, mate. So in those little branches there, you'll see all the little nests, little brown nests being built.
Trees up there. Oh yeah.
So if you're on the right, you'll see that as we come back upriver. Now the World Heritage Forest here stretches 450 kilometres in length. Starts up in the Black Mountain Range near Cooktown, encompasses the Daintree and the Cape Tribulation forests under the same World Heritage banner, and then we'll come all the way past us here and go down towards the Paluma Range near Townsville. Now where we are here in the McAllister Range of Kuranda, we are in the narrowest corridor to the entire World Heritage Park, sitting at just over 7 kilometres in width, which does mean that we have some of the most diverse animal and plant life species in the whole forest living and growing here. Now, one of the main reasons that this forest on our left was listed under the UNESCO World Heritage Rainforest Act is because that this forest on our left-hand side today, folks, it is the oldest rainforest left on planet Earth. Would anyone like to take a guess at the age of this forest? 180 million years. Someone's been on a boat in Cape Tribulation. There you go. So yes, it is a 180 million year old rainforest. The oldest on our planet. 80 million years older than the Amazonian rainforests. Now, the reason we can tell that this forest is that old is the plant life that's in here, which was the same plant life that the dinosaurs used to eat. Now, it is the very first primitive flowering and seeding plant life species to ever emerge on this planet. They are called the angiosperms, and they came into existence 250 million years ago. Now, left on this wonderful planet of ours today, we only have 19 of these species of trees and plants. This forest here is home to 12 of the 19 species. So it is due to the plant life that we do know the true and correct age of this fantastic forest. Hey, on the riverbank on our left, underneath this tree, as we come past, look back up on the riverbank, there is a crocodile, folks. Glad she hasn't deflated yet. So as the waves come by, they might scare her in, but just up straight in there on that riverbank, in the sunlight, we do have our freshwater crocodile. The Crocodilus johnsoni, Johnston River crocodile, freshwater croc, galloping crocodile, or the fish-catching crocodile. Many, many names to this animal. We like to call them the freshie, and that beautiful little lady that is up there, that is Sunny. In the only patch of sunlight on the riverbank up in there, there is a crocodile. Now what this lovely little crocodile is doing is thermoregulating. As a cold-blooded reptilian, they need to reach a body temperature of about 26 degrees Celsius if they want to be able to digest and metabolize their food. Now they are a nocturnal fish-hunting crocodile, so they have to come out through the daytime to digest any of the fish that they have eaten through the night. Now, if she gets too hot, around 40 degrees in temperature, she can kill herself. And that's because her internal organs will actually start boiling. There's cooking in her, they'll shut down, and from there she will die. But luckily, she's right beside water, so she can just dive on in, or as you can see right now, her tail is still in the water, so she's able to really control just how hot or cold she wants to be by either going up fully onto the bank or just sliding back in. Now she's sitting at about 15 years of age, and at 25 years of age is when she will become sexually mature and actually start being able to mate. Now at the moment it is the breeding season for our freshwater crocodiles, so most of the big, dominant, sexually mature crocs, they're all up further in the river system, and they are up there mating. And just like turtles, the freshwater crocodile will dig a nest in some sand, lay between 15 to 20 eggs in that sand, and depending on the temperature of the nest will determine the sex of those animals. And the way they like to say it, it's cool dudes or hot chicks. Anything under 31 degrees Celsius to about 29 degrees Celsius, you will have males. Anything over 31 degrees Celsius to 33 degrees Celsius, you will have females.
Thank you.
So that is the way in which you're able to identify and tell what they're going to be. Now because Samson, the big male crocodile in the river here, has not killed this croc yet, I know it's a female. And that's because if that was a male crocodile, Samson would not be putting up with that. It would come in, bite its head off and kill it, as it would be a potential threat for future for the ladies that he does have here.
How tall is she like that?
She's about 1 metre. So she's about the same size as the one that the Swedish backpacker poked in the eye. She thought it was a toy. That's why. She was about that size, sitting on the beach down at Palm Cove. Didn't move when she walked up to it, thought it was a toy, so poked it in the eye and then got bitten on the hand.
And does she get bigger because she's already 15?
She will be able to live possibly up to 70 to 80 years of age.
And does she grow?
She will. So she can get to just under 2 metres. female freshwater crocodiles, you won't find them over 2 metres. Male freshwater crocodiles will get over 2 metres in length. I'll leave that lovely little lady and we'll continue on down river, folks.
Yeah, I just want to see what that
Now this rainforest on our left only takes up 0.12% of Australia's total land mass. It isn't even a pinprick on the map of Australia, really. Yet in this forest alone, it holds some of the most diverse animal species life that we have on our planet. Sorry, not on our planet, in Australia. Now this forest is home to over 40% of all Australian bird species, over 35% of all Australian mammal species, and over 20% of all Australian reptile species. Now the crocodile is one reptile in the forest. We also have the amethystine python. And the amethystine python is Australia's biggest snake. And that snake can grow to lengths of over 8 metres. This boat is 9.6 metres long as a reference. So it's a big snake. There is a giant turquoise earthworm in the forest floor, and that worm is up to 4 metres long. We have a giant burrowing cockroach, and that cockroach is bigger than your iPhone. And then we have a fantastically large spider as well. Now this is the Goliath bird-eating spider, and it can grow to a leg length of over 30 centimetres in diameter. So a normal dinner plate is the size this spider will grow to. And because it's so large, it will actually eat small birds and bats, lizards and rats. So it is pretty awesome and pretty amazing. Now if you all feel under your chair, if there is anything hairy, please let me know. It might be one of these spiders. Sometimes you'll see them swimming along through the river. Sometimes you'll see them climb up the back of the boat here and slither down the middle. Really depends what they're feeling for the day. Now this structure out here in front of us, ladies and gentlemen, this is the dam wall. It was constructed back in 1963, and it was constructed in conjunction with the green shed, which is over there on the right hand side of this dam wall. That green shed is a hydroelectric power station. And that power station utilises the water out of this river every day to create electricity. Now it can create up to 66 megawatts of electrical power daily, which is the equivalent of being able to power up to 36,000 houses a day. Cairns and Kuranda do not get this power. The power made out of this station is transferred through the East Australian distribution grid and makes its way down towards the major cities like Brisbane, Sydney and Melbourne. Now the dam wall drops off 6 metres in front of us there on the other side, and then in the sunlight down in the valley there now you might be able to see a rock bar. 100 metres past that rock bar there is a 265 metre drop off, and that is the big beautiful Barron Falls. And the Barron Falls is the big natural barrier and waterfall that over the last 200 million years has stopped all of the big saltwater crocodiles that live down in that bottom section of the Barron River. They haven't learned to do the salmon, so they can't swim or climb up this waterfall into this section of the river, which means we have a beautiful ecosystem free of big man-eaters. Now, being over 330 metres elevation, we fall into a category here as a tropical highland rainforest. To be a rainforest anywhere in the world, you need to get an average rain height of 1.5 metres every year. Here in Kuranda, we get about 2 to 3 metres of rain a year, with rainfalls of over 8 metres experienced here in the past. So we certainly are a rainforest due to that fact. And with all of that rain comes some pretty amazing floodwaters. Now out here on the left-hand side of the dam, you will see there is the main wall, and then off towards the middle of the dam there is a small tower which has been isolated off the main wall by that walkway. If you go to the water level in front of that tower, come up about 1.5 meters, you will see a very thin black line wrapping around the face of that tower there. Where that line is where the flood height was this year on Anzac Day. So enough water to spill over, go down into the waterfall, make it flood, make it look beautiful. Very normal to get a flood height that hot size 3 to 4 times a year here. Abnormal flood heights were the 2019 floods. The handrails up here. The furthest left-hand warning sign is a no canoeing sign. Now if you come underneath that no canoeing sign to the wall, you will see that the top 2 meters of that wall is a darker black colour. Then there's a defined line and it goes into a more pale brown. Where that colour change occurs, that's where the flood height was in the 2019 Easter long weekends. You could hear that waterfall while walking around through Kuranda, and you could see a 300-metre high mist coming off the falls. It was epic. The floods of 1975, however, were better than that. And those floods, the 2 power lines that are coming down across the side of the river, the bottommost power line was where the flood height was in the 1975 floods. Those handrails were gone. The power station was down on that concrete level, gone, washed away down the waterfall. There was over 8 metres of water in a solid wall coming down through this river. So it was absolutely amazing and spectacular, just the power of that water that came down. Now, unfortunately, we aren't whitewater rafting just yet. We are going to turn around, the aircon's on, it's going to be nice and strong as we make our way back up. And as we get going, I'll tell you about the life of the river, where it starts, and then also about the tree life in this forest here. Barron River is born. Now it only starts as a very small stream, then gets larger and larger as it makes its way down through the area here, as it is fed by a lot of other creeks and streams that flow into it. Now once it hits the dam wall behind us there, that is when the freshwater section of this Barron River finishes. And then after that, all of the water will get forced over the waterfall if there's enough of it, where it goes down through that power station and will end up in the Barron Gorge. Now the Barron Gorge is where the saltwater section to this Barron River starts. And then it only has 30 kilometres or so of life left to it before it will exit out into the ocean right at the Cairns airport. So you are looking at a total length of this river to be sitting at about 180 kilometres. Not very large in comparison to other river systems in the world, but it certainly is very unique to the Cairns, Kuranda and Atherton Tableland area where we are here today.
What is the depth of this?
Sorry, sir. Depth. 2 metres to 4 metres, depending on what that power station does daily. 36 different varieties out of the 1,200 in the entire forest in just that 1 square kilometre. It's the diversity of the animal and plant life in this forest here is just absolutely amazing. Some of the most diverse and abundant throughout Australia. Now from here, folks, I'm going to stop talking so you can enjoy the river and the rainforest without me interrupting you. If you do have any questions, raise your hand and I'll come forward to address them. If not, sit back, relax and enjoy as we do make our way back up to that pontoon, folks. Starlings on our right there.
There we go.
They just love it. I think it's kind of just something they come to and they know and it works and it's sheltered, protected, it's perfect for them. There is another Kuranda just downriver, got a single nest in that one. So I'm not too sure whether it's because they've been born in that nest, they come back to that same tree to do it again. I haven't done the research to look and find out that much, but yeah, quite awesome. Tree kangaroos are the only kangaroo in the world that can move their legs independently. Every other kangaroo and wallaby, they only move their legs together and they do a hopping motion, where this kangaroo has actually evolved to walk. And from there, their tails, instead of just being a long, strong tail, they've used it as a bit of bending like a monkey's tail. So they have their mindset on moving rainforest.
Can you remember any
bridge, which you'll see when we turn around. And he's got 5 girlfriends. 2 metres. He's about 45.
Hungry.
Yeah. Seen hungry this morning.
Someone moves straight down. So you can do every now and then see a couple of males walking down into
No, it didn't. I tried to push them out.
I
didn't drop them.
And then the winner basically takes over. So what would more than likely happen is he would die in a fight rather than an old age. And that's just because he's always being tested by the younger males that eventually they'll come in and they'll kill him. And then he's going to not survive, or he'll injure himself enough that then he'll bugger off. But very, very rarely do they just kind of die on their own accord. Somebody has to kind of follow up. But as that happens, the girls will start wondering as well, he doesn't keep them in check as much. And then other males kind of go, well, I've never had access to you before, something must be happening down here. It's kind of outcomes. There's a hierarchy to it. So you have your dominant female and you'll have your sub-dominant females after that. If Delilah, who's the biggest female, came into where Sunny was today, Sunny would get out of there real quick. She wouldn't stick around and try and pick a fight. Same territory, yeah. They have areas they like to hang out in, but we like to say that that area down there is Sunny's territory, and then next thing you do, she'll be sitting on this log here tomorrow. So you're like,
Does she cruise to another male?
no, so the female will stick with the one male they know.
But maybe when he dies, they stay.
Another male will come on down and have to woo to make sure.
So the girls stay with where they were born?
No, they move, but they'll find a male that is going to protect them. Yeah, they stay there.
There are people in the water.
There are, so it's safe to swim here. Mainly freshwater crocodiles, no saltwater crocs. Saltwater crocodiles have never killed anyone. It's always a first.
Okay, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we have some dominant seagulls that fly along, some brownie kites, ospreys. Very rarely you'll find a wedge-tail kind of drifting out of the river around here. But yeah, mainly our seagulls down by the dam. Next to the dam, that are in that area sometimes. But yeah, not too sure. We haven't seen them for a while. Every morning. Straight across the river there every morning. There were 5 of them there this morning. There's Elvis, his 3 chicks, and then Priscilla, which is the mum that came in, and she scared them all off, otherwise he'd probably still be sitting there with his chicks now. Alright folks, just as I come into the pontoons, stay seated for me, just in case there's a bump. You never know what this wind's going to do, if it's going to push us on or blow us away. It can be a bit of a bump. Mind your step disembarking here today, just because the boat and the pontoon can move a little bit. Make sure you take all your belongings off with you if you would. And thank you for joining me. It's lovely having you on board, and I hope you have a great day.